This is the exact process map that allowed me to take Pareto Talent from 3 founders and a dream to $1 million revenue in under a year. I went ahead and mapped out all of the processes and everything that takes place in my business, and then built SOP and automations for all of these different steps in order to be able to scale and get me out of the operations. Because before I implemented that system, I was the one responsible for all of the matchings, all of the sales calls, all of the client interactions, and so on. And right now, because I built all of these SOPs, I can delegate 90% of all of my responsibilities to my team. In this video, I will show you exactly how to build SOPs that are actually being used by your team and how to keep them relevant to your actual processes in the business and how to scale it and get you out of the operations. Here is the problems that I see with a lot of businesses that I work with under the Pareto Talent. Is that a lot of them don't even start building SOPs. They think that because they are the ones responsible for majority of the processes, they can just YOLO it. They know all of the things, they can just do them by themselves. The problem with this approach is that you will never be able to leave your business. You will be tied to your business because only you know the know-how of it. Only you can perform certain actions. The SOP, which stands for Standard Operation Procedure, is the way for you to solve that. It's the way for you to document what is the standard way for you to do something, so your team will be able to take over once you implement them in your company, right? The problem with majority of the SOPs, even if somebody starts doing them, is that they either are too complicated or too general. If the SOP is too complicated, meaning that you detail every single step, every single click, your team won't be using them. Your team hopefully is not stupid. They don't need you to handhold them. They just need to add know-how, a direction on how you prefer these things to be done. And if you do them too general, so without specifying the links, without specifying the exact scripts, tags, and so on, your team doesn't see a value in them because it's pretty generic. Everyone will be able just to do it themselves without going through your exact process. And the last problem of the SOPs is that they just collect dust in your Google Drive folder. So you build them, you outlined everything, and then there is no clear way for your team to access them or interact with your SOPs. That's why you just build them once and they sit in there, and when you are going to review them, you see that all of them are outdated. You're not doing it this way anymore because no one was updating the SOPs. That's the main problems of SOPs, and I will show you how you can fix them and how you can create SOPs that actually being used. Today, I want to show you my system of using the 3-layer approach to building SOPs. Where the first layer in our case will be to build an actual SOP in somewhere like Google Docs or ClickUp in my case. After that, once your SOP is done, the second layer to that is putting all of these SOPs on a map, putting all of the SOPs in a place where all of your team can access them and quickly edit them if something changes in the process. And lastly, the layer number 3 is AI functionality for your SOPs. So getting all of your SOPs out and populating them in your own custom GPT so your team can interact with SOPs. And rather than your team running through the Google Drive and trying to find how to send client email whenever client is pissed off and something, and you have a specific template for that, a specific approach, and they cannot find it, and it's pretty urgent, rather than them going through all of the struggle, they can just open a custom GPT, ask it a question, and get the result. This is the exact system that we used in a couple of our agencies now. In Solutions 8, in the agency that we exited for multiple 8 figures, the core value of this agency was SOPs. All of the processes were documented, all of the Google Ads account checks for every, daily checks, 3-day checks, 7-day check, 30-day check, all of these things were SOP'd out, so we could delegate them to the team members, and that's why we had 80 employees in this agency at one point. That's the same approach that we used in Pareto Talent as well, because we knew that this is the value of the business, is having it documented, having it like a tutorial. Imagine that from the very first day of you building your business, you're building it for someone else to buy it. And once you start thinking about that, it's kind of stupid because we are not documenting things for ourselves in order to be able to follow the processes better, but whenever we are looking to sell the business, we start documenting everything and making the business nicer for someone else to run. And at this point, we realized that it wasn't such a bad business in the first place. Why do I sell it? And then we understand that like probably I should have done it sooner. So this is the approach that I would recommend you to take in your mind is whenever you're building a business, from the very first day, start outlining everything, start preparing this business for a sale, documenting everything, automating as much as possible, so someone else will be able to take over. And by someone else, it can be your executive assistant that you replace to oversee this business if you automate like everything in SOP, everything well enough, right? And I won't give you just the system. I also will give you all of the prompts and templates that you can utilize as soon as today and start documenting the processes. So you will be able to generate these SOPs and document things starting this week. So even before we start diving deeper into building the actual SOP, you need to first ensure that your SOP is needed, that your team is actually benefiting from these processes and they can follow them, and that you have some certain know-how on how to perform this action. SOP is basically an internal tutorial on the way you are doing your things. If there is nothing internal in your process, so if your process is super generic, don't build SOPs, just like link to some other tutorial or link to some other document, and you'll be like good enough, right? So if you always do it the way that Google recommends to do it, so for example, in Solutions 8, we had this when we were installing, for example, Tag Manager. We were following the simple tutorial how to install Tag Manager using header footer code management for WordPress, for example. And there is a very distinctive tutorial on that. So we just like took that from Google's website, I believe itself, and just linked it. So that sometimes will be good enough. But if you have some process that is very specific, and I recommend you to have specific processes because this is what differentiates your business from someone else's business because of the way you do the things, right? So document that, and now you understand that, okay, yeah, my team absolutely needs this, right? Next, if your SOP is way too complicated, so if it's a 20-page manual that someone else will need to follow, and by follow, I mean like actually go step by step and follow, rather than having it that long, think about breaking this down. Think about how to make it simpler. So for example, not like client management SOP, and then there you outline how to onboard the client, like 1 week meeting, 2 weeks meetings, 30 days meetings, then how to request feedback and so on. Rather than having it this way, just break this down in particular steps that your team will be able to follow. The idea for the SOP is for your team to pull it up whenever they are hitting a wall. Like, hey, I need to send this. I need to request this feedback. What is the SOP on requesting the feedback? Do we send an email like on 30 days? What email do we send? Do we send a text if they don't reply? Right? So that's the reason for the SOP to exist. If your team needs to scroll through SOP to find some relevant part, it's wrong already. The next problem that you need to ensure that you are not falling into even before you start building SOPs is to ensure that they will be able to be editable. Your SOPs are not set in stone, or at least they shouldn't be. What I see a lot of entrepreneurs mistake in is that they think that if my processes are not perfect right now, I don't want to document them, not to like spawn even more problems in the future, which is right and wrong in the same time. Your processes will never be perfect. There's always something to update. I've never seen an absolutely perfect process. Even if you think your process is perfect for your company, once you will see what someone else is doing, you will realize that your processes are for toddlers. They're not that good in the first place, even though you were proud of them, right? So that's why you shouldn't be focusing on making the SOP perfect. You should focus on having SOP and perfecting on the SOP, not building SOP on the perfect process, but making SOP perfect and therefore improving the process. That's the core way to do that. So your team will be able to actually jump in and edit the SOP. The next thing that you need to ensure that you are fixing even before starting documenting SOP is committing to a certain platform that you will be using to store all of your processes, right? You need to ensure that this platform is easy to build hierarchies in, so you can understand that this process underlined under this process and so on. You need to be able that they're super easy to access, that anyone within your team will be able to easily access them and find them, as well as you will be able to share them externally with somebody else, right? So the easiest way for you to build something like that is to usually use Google Drive. So you can build a Google Drive with the SOP folder. Under this SOP folder, you might have all of the other departments and other things. So we'll go through that shortly. Let me tell you a story of where it was a problem. So in Solutions 8, we used one of the platforms called GetGuru. This platform in the beginning was like pretty cool. It allowed to have all of the team to collaborate. All of the team was submitting different SOPs. Then you would assign somebody to verify these SOPs. This platform was integratable with Slack and so on. And so like overall was looking pretty like nicely. We've done a lot of research before committing to that. We committed, we started using that. As we were using this platform for half a year, they send us an invoice that triples our price for the next year. And they do it like 3 months in advance or something like that. Basically telling us that, hey, yeah, now you pay 3x more. And it wasn't insignificant. I believe it was like $4,000 a year or something that they charged us for. Basically, they required us to add all of the users in the platform, and they were charging us per user per month, which in the end of the day was like insane because we had 8 users. So we had to pivot and get all of our information out of the platform and use something else because it didn't make sense to pay so much for just storing the information. That's why I highly recommend to use something that is easy for you to migrate out of in case you decide to, and something where you can like semi-own your SOPs, at least like download them, right? Because a lot of the platforms that I see entrepreneurs are using, they are jailed in them. Like you won't be able to get your stuff out of them. So there is no reason to utilize them in the first place. And the problem with committing to them saying, hey, yeah, no, we fully like sure that we'll be using that for years and years to come. Like you don't know their policies. You don't know if they will decide to charge you much more. Okay, so now with this in mind, let's jump into creation of the actual SOPs, right? So the first step for us would be to outline the processes in the business that we need to improve. Processes in the business that we want to document and for somebody else to be able to do for us, right? I have a full video on the delegation aspect, so you can use that, go through this exercise to understand what are the processes that you want to delegate. Maybe you want to prioritize them first, but I usually recommend just starting from each of the processes of your business and going through all of them. Here's my way to go through that. I built this prompt for myself. I will be sharing it with you in the description below. I called it the SOP Architect. So basically in here, instead of us building SOP, instead of us building the process ourselves, we start outlining the processes and have AI do a reverse interview where AI will go and ask us all of the questions through the current process and then present the optimized version of the processes. Then if we agree with something, like it goes ahead and implements that. If no, then it just goes with our original process and then gives us the SOP creation step where it outlines us the SOP. We will do that in a second. Now, let me show you the template that I recommend you to use for the actual SOPs, right? So first of all, SOP title, super easy. Purpose, what is the reason for it to exist? Does it even need to exist? If you cannot find the purpose for this SOP, or if the purpose is too insignificant, then just don't do the SOP. Next is the owner. So what role, so not particular person, but what role responsible for performing this task? The reason we want to focus on the role is that like you will hire more people. So if your business is just you or a couple of people in your company, go ahead and assign a role to that particular SOP so this person will understand that they will be responsible for this part, right? Next is the last updated. This is what I see people miss a lot, is not mentioning like when the SOP was built, so no one knows if it's current. Here's again an example for that. In Solutions 8, I was a part of the company since 2018 to 2024, so like for 6 years. And we had SOPs that were like 5 years old that we built in the very beginning. And like Google Ads changed like completely in the 4 years time. The iOS 14 destroyed the tracking. So the UTMs or the other things that we were using were not relevant anymore. So that's why you need to ensure that SOPs are being updated in here. And lastly is estimated time. You can omit that one. That's totally up to you. Usually I indicate it for the person for them to know how much time it will take them. So even if the SOP is long, but I say that estimated time is 5 minutes, they will still like follow it. Any prerequisites. So if the task requires any tools, any passwords, which is huge. So if you have any passwords that you are utilizing in order to get access to like onboarding platform or something like that, you don't want to mention the exact password in here. You want to mention where to get the password, right? So hopefully you have some password management tool like Dashlane or Bitwarden. So your team will know that, okay, I can find the password in there. Or if you are not using that, hopefully at least you have some sort of a way for people to get passwords. So maybe they messaging you to get a password and so on, right? After that, this is the biggest chunk of your SOP, is a step-by-step process on how to perform something, right? So step 1, open that, do that, click that, and save that, right? Step 2, use this template. Step 3, save this and send it to the client, right? Common mistakes is a very good one to have. So what might get wrong? What might be wrong? Here is the thing. Probably when you build this SOP originally, you will not have any common mistakes in here because like you are doing this process perfectly. Common mistakes will appear once somebody in your team that follows the SOP will make a mistake. Once they make a mistake, you go with them, you analyze why they made this mistake. Was this because of the SOP was imperfect? If it was, then you go ahead, update the SOP. If it was a human factor, so if they made the mistake because they're didn't pay attention or something like that, this is where you can populate it under the common mistakes. So you don't want to leave all of your steps to live under the common mistakes. Hopefully you don't have any common mistakes, to be honest. Common mistakes are usually for the human error aspect of it. Next is a success checklist. So I generate a template, I send the template to the client with the following title or following subject, and so on, right? So what the success would look like for them in this one. Next, related processes. This is huge. So you want all of your SOPs to act like a brain. So all of them are interlinked to other processes. This is exactly why I mentioned before, is like if you have a huge process, go ahead and break it down in smaller SOPs and link them to each other. So like if this is the onboarding for the client, let's say the onboarding email, SOP to onboard the client, right? Then your next related process could be like the kickoff call, right? Kickoff call SOP. What we are going through on the kickoff call with the client, what are the topics for us to cover, what are the checklists, what are the things to mention, and so on. What are the points to collect, right? That's where you will put them. That's why all of the SOPs needs to be updated, because chances are you don't have any related processes yet, so you have like only onboarding SOP. That's why you need to be reviewing them, and you need to understand, okay, actually this SOP is based on that SOP, so I need to update the other one, right? That will help you to stay current on all of them. And lastly is the questions, right? So what are the ways for somebody to contact the person that was responsible for that? So I usually recommend like to put author of the SOP or the contact in here. So person who is following the SOP will know who to reach out to if they have questions or problems following this SOP. Again, all of this is still just one prompt. So I'm giving it all to you, so the AI will generate it for you. And in the end, I have some formatting rules, and then we can go through the process, right? So this is my like first way. So let me show you what it does. So once you copy that, you jump to your preferred LLM, right, and paste it in here. I will start it straight ahead, right? And now it will ask me to like describe the process. Let's say the process that I want to do right now is final projects scoring in Pareto Talent. So in Pareto Talent, one of the things we are doing with all of our executive assistants is that whenever they apply, they go through our training, and in the end of the training, they go through something we call final projects, which is basically a huge trial task that allows you to ensure that you are you understand everything that we taught you and that you are able to perform these tasks, right? And the way I had it before, and right now I already have SOPs for that, but the way I had it before is that I would be the only person to review them because I knew how particular things needed to be done, so I could score them and give scores to each particular EA. And in the beginning, scores were just very subjective. There were like yes or no, basically. Like, yes, you done it, no, you didn't. So I want to go through the same and show you an example on how to build process for something like that, because originally I would love to be able to delegate the scoring of the final projects to someone else. So somebody else will be able to utilize this SOP and go through that in order to deliver the same result as I did. So the best thing that I recommend you to use in here is dictation. So just dictate out the current process and how it works to AI, right? So I have a process which is the final projects scoring in Pareto Talent. So in Pareto Talent, executive assistants go through our training process. Once they went through the training process for 2 weeks, which is approximately 40 hours total that they invested of their time into that, we give them a huge trial task that we call final project that allows us to understand if the person is ready to be placed with one of our entrepreneurs. And usually the final projects have 5 different categories. It's overall structure of the final project and how they understood the task. Then it's the actual content of the final project, meaning if they completed all of the tasks and how in full they completed them. Next is development task, so how they developed and designed the landing page inside of the high level. Then it's automation task, if they were able to fully automate the funnel within the high level, sometimes Zapier and so on. And lastly, what I score is their proactivity and their ability to build SOPs. So one of the tasks they have in the very end is to build SOP based on everything they've done. Now, the problem is that the current process is very subjective, so I'm the only person going through that. I would love to be able to score all of the categories and then be able to automate the decision based on the score that they have. So the end person that will be following this SOP will only need to provide the scores for each category, and then the system will automatically tell if this person passes or not. So usually I would do like something like that. I will go through like complete process, explain it, spend some time into that. This is exactly the same process that I used in order to build like that. And in here, I already have this final project SOP in here. So all of these cards are linkable. I will show you as a layer 2 on how to build something like that. And then all of these SOPs are in here, right? So how we onboard an EA, how we score the final project, and so on, right? Let me go back real quick. Okay, so once you have all of that, you just submit that. Now, AI will go through your complete project and it will start analyzing what could be the blind spots in your process, right? So question 1, when you review a final project, what specific criteria or indicators do you look for under each of the 5 categories, structure, content, and so on, right? So under the structure, I'm looking to ensure that EA presents the project in an easy to follow way, because this is the same kind of process that they will follow with their entrepreneur. They will basically send the entrepreneur the presentation, and if entrepreneur cannot read through that, they won't follow that. So it's number 1. Next, for the content completion, I want to ensure that they've completed each and single task, and that they didn't just cut the corners, but actually went through and delivered the result. So if I ask for like 3 ads for Meta, they built 3 ads for Meta, not just 1. Next is development part. So for the development, I'm looking to ensure that they have the correct number of sections in their landing page. So in the final projects, we usually require 5 to 7 sections on the page. Then ensure that it's coherent with the brand style, that it uses the proper content, and that everything works. So all of the buttons are clickable, all of the forms are submittable. For the automation, I want to ensure that automation set up properly, so all of the triggers are working properly, all of the if statements working properly, all of the email sending set up correctly with the proper sender name and sender email, all of the links are operational, things like that. And with productivity as SOP, I want first of all to see what extra they will bring to the table, because this is part of our ideology, is to bring extra mile to the process. And then I also usually group SOPs within that, because SOPs are so important for a lot of entrepreneurs. And I want to ensure that EA can actually build a proper SOP in there. Okay, so now that we populated that part, let's submit it here and let's give it a second. Okay, now it gives a second question, so we answer that. So when you're scoring, do you currently use a numerical system? Right now, I'm not using anything. I just either pass or fail judgment based on the total number of different factors, but I would love to have a numerical system. I would love to do 1 to 5 numerical system, and the minimum passing score should be like 80%, so 20 out of the 25. And again, the reason I know all of that is because I already built all of this SOP, right? If you are not sure, you just can answer these questions. Where do you currently store or review these final projects? So right now, all of the final projects being submitted through our high-level form, and the person submitting needs to submit a Google Drive link to their PDF with the final project. And all of the final projects being stored in high-level right now. And in high-level, I would love to have custom fields for each of the categories and then the total score for their final project. Okay, once you or in the future another evaluator submits scores in high-level, what should happen? Once the scores for all of the categories are submitted, the system should calculate the sum of the scores and then send an automated email to a person that submitted the final project, letting them know if they passed or didn't pass. And if they passed, they should get another onboarding materials. So I think we went through all of them. If no, I will just tell it that like it's enough. I think we detailed a ton. So this is what it takes to build this SOPs. It's a pretty tedious process to go like step by step. But as you can see, all you need to do is just answer questions, and it takes like 5-10 minutes to build, right? So if the candidate fails, what is the exact path you want? Can they resubmit a final project? Should they receive a specific remediation email? So if somebody fails, they should get a decline email. They cannot resubmit the final project, because what it means if they failed right now is that they don't have the right skill set just yet. So it doesn't make sense for them to start sooner. It means they need more time. We have specific steps in high level, and I will automate it separately outside of this SOP. Now let's wrap it up, and let's build an actual SOP based on my answers. I'm right now wrapping this up. Usually I would like do that until it has all of the questions answered, right? And the other thing you can customize is to have all of the questions asked from the very beginning. The problem with that is that each of the following question will be uncovered by your previous answer. So that's why I recommend you like following this process, right, this way. Now, here is the actual like process that it outlined. So EA completes the training, then evaluator opens high-level record, evaluator scores 5 categories, then system auto-calculates total score. If total is more, then passed. If total is less, okay. Recommended optimization. So create a standardized scoring rubric, right? So what it would mean for each one of them. Automate score calculations in high level, automate identification sequence, introduce a review queue view, so create a filtered dashboard, need scoring, as periodic collaboration reviews. Bottleneck identified, single person dependency, subjectivity in scoring. Okay, perfect. Now, as for your recommendations, I agree with recommendation number 1. I think recommendation number 2, number 3, will be a little bit outside of the scope of this SOP, because this SOP is focused on the process that the person needs to follow. So we can mention that the rest is automated, but this SOP will not be responsible for the automation. We already have the review queue. And I agree with the recommendation number 5 of adding periodic collaboration reviews. Now built in SOP. Now, based on that, it will follow our template that I mentioned to you before. And as you can see, SOP title is the scoring final projects for Pareto Talent Executive Assistants. Purpose, ensure consistent, objective, and fair evaluation. Then who's the owner, when it's last updated, what's the estimated time to do. Access to high level with evaluator permissions, access to Google Drive links submitted by EA, understanding of Pareto Talent's 5 scoring categories, knowledge of current training curriculum, right? And then it goes through the step-by-step and tells exactly how to perform this action. So then you go through and verify that everything's correct. So once they open the project, how to do it, they submit it, what success looks like, the PDF or folder. So if access denied, then request the candidate to update file permissions. So then review project structure and presentation, what to do, how to do it, what success looks like, evaluate content completion, review development quality. And then it goes ahead and explains, so if broken links or mismatched design, score 1 through 3. So it goes through and recommends all of that. Then common mistakes, so forgetting to review all 5 categories, giving subjective gut scores, and skipping functional tests and automations, right, for automations. And lastly is what the success looks like. So this is the process, right? This is something that you can like utilize. So usually what I would do then, I would copy all of that. And in my case, I'm using ClickUp for that. So inside of the ClickUp, if you go to the ClickUp docs, it's like pretty useful overall. It's kind of fighting what I mentioned before, or not saving your SOPs on someone else's property, on ClickUp's property. But if you think about that, Google Drive is pretty much the same. The reason I'm like looking to use like ClickUp in here in this case is because of how easy it is to link everything, is because of how nice they usually look like, is because how I can build all of the pages, sub-pages and so on, is because I can share them outside very easily, is because I can link them to particular templates and particular tasks in the ClickUp, right? So then I just populate them in one doc in here. Now, if you're looking to build your SOP library, right, you can divide it a couple of different ways. So let me show you what I mean. So let's say this is your company folder, right, in Google Drive, right? So what you could do is you could create folder for your SOP. So let's say one SOP, and inside of this folder, you can divide it in different either processes or different stages of your business or different departments. So this is ultimately your decision how to do that, right? All of the companies will have differently. There is no like one size fits at all, right? Because some companies will have like 2 departments, so it doesn't make sense for them to bring it by department. Some companies will have hundreds of processes, so they will want all of this separate. If your company is pretty small, what you can do, you can just use a single Google Doc in here. So click here, create Google Doc, then call this your like master SOP doc. And here's a cool thing that you will be able to do. So under the document tabs, you can call your like different SOPs in here. So that is the final project reviews SOP, right? I have like this full SOP in here, right? So what you will be able to do, so let's say you will have multiples of these SOPs. Let's say this is like number 3 in here in the process. What you can do is click here 3 dots and copy link to particular SOPs. And you will see in a second why it's so important to be able to link to them directly, right? So now if I will send it to someone else, they will see exactly that SOP, and within the same doc, they will have access to all of the other SOPs. That's the cool part about all of that. This is the same like structure that I have in my ClickUp in here, right? So all of the SOPs are structured in here. That's the way for you to start collecting them. So this is my like main way, is just dictating, right? The other way for you to structure and get these SOPs out is the Loom decoder prompt. So this is the prompt that I use whenever I record a Loom tutorial first, right? So in Loom tutorial, I basically, let's say, walk somebody through some processes internally, and then I can get the transcript of this SOP and run it through this GPT, right? If you don't know what Loom is, you can go to loom.com. They have free version. Basically, it's an ability to screen record anything really quick and then be able to share it with somebody else. This is like very valuable. This is very cool way for you to show processes to someone else in your company, right? Let's say I want to build SOP for my like delegation blueprint, right? This is a calculator that we made for entrepreneurs where they can run their tasks and see how much time they're wasting on them, right? So usually what I would do, once you have the Loom, you can go to the transcript in here and copy the whole transcript of the video, right? If you have a free Loom, if you are not able to copy the transcript or something like that, you can download the video and upload the video to YouTube and then get the transcript. There's a lot of ways, or you can even upload the video to Google Drive and do that. So once you have once you have the transcript, right, you can then go to like your ChatGPT. You can then I will paste it below here, and then I will go to my prompt and copy the whole prompt over here. And then I will go back, I will paste the prompt above the transcript and click submit. So it will then understand, like go through my whole process and find what are the steps that somebody needs to take in order to follow this SOP, right? So then, as you can see, what AI will go through, it will analyze everything that we present, what are the steps, what needs to be done, and so on. And then it will ask me the question. So same thing. So where the tool is hosted. So the tool can be found in quiz.paretotalent.com. So one here. Does the user need to create an account or just use the calculator anonymously? User doesn't need to create any account. Then 3, what should the evaluator or user do after downloading the Bluetooth? Is there a follow-up automation? There currently is no follow-up automation, but I think it's something that we can improve on. The results will be stored automatically in our CRM. And the 5 is, what's the expected duration of using the calculator from start to finish? It takes less than 90 seconds to complete the full calculation. Okay, we'll submit that. And then it starts creating the SOP. So then it will outline what is the title, what is the purpose, what's the owner, what are the tools that needs to be used, what are the steps, right? How to run this particular calculator. That is a super slick way to save time. So if you already have a pretty good process, you don't want to improve that, that's probably will be my preferred way, is to go in, record a Loom video, and then build SOP based on that. Here's what I will do then. So then you copy this SOP, you go to your master SOP doc, you create this SOP in here, and then we'll take the title in here, we will populate it in here. And now you also have rich content. So you also have video. So you can literally just copy the link, go back to your master doc, and in here, this step-by-step process, I can literally just paste my my doc in here. I can also click share. I can use embed and maybe copy the GIF thumbnail in here so it looks even nicer. Populate that in here. Okay, now we have a full tutorial plus a written SOP that somebody else will be able to follow. That's the process that I recommend you to follow for all of the different steps in your businesses, for everything that you are looking to delegate. That is what will allow you to ensure that everything is well structured and well documented in there. Okay, so now we are continuing to the layer 2 of our SOP machine, is making a map of everything. This is where I see a huge potential and a huge value for a lot of the businesses with more SOPs and more different processes that take place. You want it to be visual. You want for somebody on your team to be able to pull up a map and see what happens step by step without them going through this master doc that we created. Usually what I see and what I do myself in the SOPs is that I kind of try to number all the process. So let's say final project is the second step, the delegation calculator is, let's say, the third step, and so on. So then somebody else will have visual numbers on the processes that take place, but it usually doesn't work like that. If again, I will pull up the map for Pareto Talent, you will see that there is a lot of the processes that go in parallel and things like that. So the idea in here is to map it out, and I use this tool, so drovio.com. I like this tool because it's free. I like this tool because it lives in my Google Drive, so I own it. I don't rely at mercy of other app like Miro, Miro.com and things like that, because these apps, they kind of own your diagrams. They own your materials, and you will see that under the free plan, you have 3 editable boards, and I don't know if they will be paid at some point. That's the problem with that, right? So that's why I usually prefer to stick to completely free tools and tools that I can own the information in. So once you click start, it automatically integrates with your Google Drive. You click create new diagram, you give it the name, so master SOP tutorial. Create, save. And then in here, you will be able to start mapping out how your business operates. What I usually do for myself, for other businesses, and I recommend to do is just do everything from left to right. So what is the very first step in your business? Is it usually traffic, right? So traffic, is it Facebook ads, blog posts, whatever it is. Then it usually goes through landing page. Then it usually goes to some sort of a form, right? So scheduling form. After that, what happens next to the person? It's, let's say, some sort of automation. Then maybe we also like call this person. After that, we jump on a call with them, right? So it's call SOP. What is our script, what we present, and so on. And then on call, usually you want again multiple things. So you will want script. You will want some sort of a deck. You will want some sort of a follow-up, and so on. Then let's say they are, again, moving forward in your business, and then you need some sort of contract, right? So template for the contract. Then you will need payment links. After that, you will need some onboarding SOP. So that's the way for you just to go through your business completely and outline all of the steps that you have in your business and at what point they operate. You will see, like right now the map is super linear. You will see that it will start like branching out and do other weird things. So let's say if we are taking traffic, usually you don't have one source of traffic. You have also YouTube, where you record videos, let's say, for people. Then you have your other social medias, right? And then for each one, you can have its own SOP, right? That's the way for you to, first of all, go through all of that. Don't like link anything yet. Just go through the whole business and map out what happens under what. The super great thing about that is that you will be able then to, let's say something changed. So let's say after call, we don't send the contract, but we send them some sort of authorization form or verification form, whatever it is. I can then just move everything, add the new step in here. And now you updated your process. Now your team has a reflection that, and usually when I add something new, I usually color code it. So I code that, hey, this is new process, or this is still under development, right? So the team knows that, again, this is the case, right? Then you already have your doc with the SOPs, right? So then you can go ahead, copy the link to that particular page, go back, and let's say one of our sources in here is the delegation blueprint. So delegation blueprint. So the same calculator I showed you, right? So delegation blueprint then redirects somebody to our landing page, right? So I can go ahead, select all of that, and click insert link, paste my link, and now I can share this with my team. And whenever my team has questions about, hey, how do I do this delegation blueprint? And now they will be able just to click on that and see the exact process that they need to follow. That's your second layer in your SOPs. This is how you make the SOPs that are not being lost in your folders, that are actually can be followed by your team. So your team just pull up and see a visual representation of all of the process in the company. Now, if we are talking about the third step, hopefully you already guessed that. That is building custom GPT for your processes. So here's what I usually recommend to do. First, populate all of your SOPs as much as you can. Second, prepare a description of your company. So describe what your company does, what is the core offer of that. If you have a sales deck, download the sales deck as well, right? Next, in Drovio, once you outline the map, linked everything, what you will be able to do, click File, click Export As, and then you can download it as a PDF, HTML, whatever you want, right? Usually I will just go with the PDF and export that. Then I will go to my master SOP doc. I will click File, Download, and download all of that. Sometimes it's been tricky with the tabs. So sometimes you will need to download the tabs individually, but I hope that Google Doc will fix that. Because I had this problem when sometimes if I click File and download, it only downloads me one doc, right? So you might want to download them separately. Then you go to your ChatGPT. You go to your GPTs, click like Explore, click New, like Create, and then you call it Pareto Master SOP. And start populating all of your knowledge materials in here, right? So in here, you'll populate your PDFs. In here, you'll populate your diagrams, right? Let me download it again. It didn't download for some reason. Okay, I need to download it in here. Boom. Okay. And you will start uploading all these materials in here, right? Then under instructions, you will just specify something like that. You're a helpful assistant of Pareto Talent that knows all of the internal Pareto Talent processes. You will be helping internal Pareto Talent team with providing the right answers to them based on the pre-existing documentation. You only follow SOPs and are not using any outside materials, as you want to ensure that the processes that you recommend somebody to perform are actually based on the best practices that were previously outlined in this company. Whenever you reply, you need to quote particular SOP and mention where this SOP can be found. And then you can also provide links and things like that. So this is a simple way to build like this SOP. Then you just create it and use like anyone with the link and share it with your team, right? Then here's what you will be able to do. If I will be like, let's say I have a question or something, I can use this SOP and ask it, what do I do once I'm on a call with the client and go through delegation blueprint and need to select like what their annual income is? And then AI will act as your ultimate knowledge base, right? So here you can see it will go ahead and answer based on my SOP. It will quote the exact step that somebody needs to take, then what to do, what is the result, and reference like where to find this SOP, right? This is your way to build something that your team will be able to utilize on an ongoing basis. Now it's not just a static SOP. Now it's a fully interactive knowledge base that your team will be able to draw from. And all you need to do to keep this up to date is just update the knowledge base on an ongoing basis, right? You can take it like couple steps further and you can use actions in here. Like create actions, and then you can write a schema and connect your ChatGPT, your custom GPT to your Google Drive and have it automatically update and get the information out of that. I recommend you to start with just a PDF for now. If you're more advanced, then you can definitely do that. And then it's being automated and self-updated on an ongoing basis. All right, so let's recap all of that. So we have 3 different layers that I recommend you to go through. First, start with the layer 1 of just documenting your processes using the prompts that I provided. You will be able to find all of the prompts and the templates in the description of this video. After that, go through the exact business map and outline all of the different steps that take place in your business, and then link your existing SOPs to these different steps. That will build you a visual representation of your business, of your processes that you have in there, so your team will be able just to follow them. And the step 3, take it to the next level by creating a custom GPT that your team will be able to utilize in order to draw information from this business map and from your SOPs to get the exact answers they need. Let's say they need some email template or something like that. They just go to custom GPT, ask a question, and get it immediately out based on your existing materials, not on some AI hallucinations. This is the exact process I used in Pareto Talent and was able to scale our business to 90 plus placed assistants, 60 plus clients at this point, and as you've seen, bazillion of different SOPs. And what I recommend you to do is just follow like these 3 different steps. So first, like download this template today. Go ahead, download the template, get the prompt and start with one process. So step 2, just start with one process that you can utilize in order to document it properly, and then share it with somebody on your team if you have somebody already, so they will be able to follow this process and take it out of your plate. Because your role as a CEO is to free up your time from all of the operations and work on your business, not in it. And step 3, if you want somebody else to help you with that, all of the Pareto Talent assistants are trained in this process. They will be able to build your SOPs. They will be able to help you to optimize your business and document everything. So this is something that we have actually as a step 1 for majority of our assistants after the inbox management, calendar management, is documentation of the business. Is coming in, building the map, building the SOPs based on what they see, and then running these SOPs by you so you can verify that they are correct and then scale it out. If you found this video useful, save it for yourself so you will be able to follow it again if needed, and share it with entrepreneurs that you know in your network that will benefit from these processes, because majority of the people I speak with unfortunately don't have documentation in there. They don't think it's that important. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like that, as I'm posting on a regular cadence in here. Thank you so much, and I'm seeing you in the next one. Bye.